Bethan TV for Health. Hello everyone, you're welcome. This is Back to Basics and my name is Moses. Bethan TV is live all the way on GoTV, free to air, and you can also find us on all mobile platforms. Do not also forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. You just have to type Bethan Television UG. You're very much welcome, and this is Back to Basics. Back to Basics is a show that brings you different topics. We discuss them here, we engage, and more especially, we always invite experts. Experts who help us to diagnose, discuss, and engage deeply into these aspects that have impact on our social well-being in our families, in our communities, and generally the way we live. So you're very much welcome. And like I said, this is Moses, who is your host of Back to Basics. I'm very glad, especially today, before I bring the topic for tonight, to introduce a friend, but who is a counselor by the names of Martin. Martin, you're very much welcome.
Thank you.
And Martin, I've seen your profile. You are an advocate and the founder of an organization that kind of supports men.
Yeah.
Can you, as you introduce yourself, can you tell us this role and what your company does?
Thank you, Moses. Thank you, viewers. It become homely to be here on Back to Basics every Monday to share indeed basics of life and how we can live quality and improved lives. My name is Martin Amanya. People like to call me Mwalimu. Mwalimu means a teacher. It's a Kiswahili word. And I also teach Kiswahili.
Wow, interesting.
Besides being a counselor. I'm an advocate for men and their mental health. That's how I come to support that. I'm a person who's gone through quite some things, and like any other good man out there who has made mistakes, who's gotten over them, like one of the men, the coaches says that we don't want to be the light at the end of the tunnel. We want to be the light that lights the tunnel, actually, so people can go through. So to share my stories, to share what I've learned, professionally trained as a counselor, to talk about topics that help improve and change people's lives, to live better lives, and like we mentioned, at home, in schools, at workstations, CEOs, down to the cleaner, in the community, everywhere, around church circles. And so that's what we do. Mwalimu Consults does counseling, those support groups and individual counseling in partnership with many other organizations in the mental health arena. Then we also do team building and capacity building trainings. We also do some communication work and public speaking on events and plus translation work. So that's a bit about Mwalimu Consults.
About Mwalimu Consults.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Martin, you're very much welcome, and thank you for bringing your experience. I just love advocating for men.
Yeah.
Because we've been complaining that the male gender has always been neglected.
The boy child.
The initiatives, the interventions, mostly you find the girl child, now boy child, and men generally. I'm happy that you're here.
Because
and pleased with what you do.
You see, the dilemma we get is if everybody's championing the girl child's agenda, if everybody's then these very girls, they will grow up and they will be looking for people to marry them. They won't be looking. They will be looked for by these boys who are not being mentored.
They will be searched.
Yeah, will be searched for by these boys who are not getting any support, who are not being mentored, who are not being coached, who are not being supported, and it will be a mess. These men who are observing their parents, fathers or husbands in those families, managing conflict through beating their mothers or their wives. They're observing. Children don't just learn by listening, they observe. So you are literally nurturing women beaters here but you have no idea, and you'll be long gone. But when they grow up, they will think, oh, this is the way actually we manage conflict at home.
Perfect. This speaks to the topic we are going to discuss tonight, because the way you're saying how men are brought up, and they kind of think are neglected. Instead, the girl child is supported, and then you find now these men are nurtured in a way that will disfavor them when they grow up and start managing families and heading families. And that's why today we want specifically look at men and mental health. We've had many reports coming out and saying men are more likely to suffer mental health, and they are also more likely not to speak out about mental health.
Yes.
So this puts a man or men in a very bad situation, because we all know that we need good mental health. That's what we all know. So today, our topic, dear viewers and those who are following us on all our social media program, we are going to dive deeply and understand men and mental health.
Thank you.
How does it sound?
It's good. Let's break it down from actually mental health basics. Like, this is back to basics. So let's take people back to basics
and understand mental health.
Yeah, understand mental health. When you talk about mental health, you're talking about someone's well-being as far as their psychological, emotional, and social well-being is concerned. Psychological, we're talking about our thoughts and the decisions we make, which are influenced by our thoughts, and sometimes they're our thoughts or other people's thoughts that come in. We talk about how these things affect us emotionally. You know, what that means, how I'm feeling in a particular time because of what has happened to me or what I'm thinking about. And then we're talking about how this actually influences the behaviors I put out, how I relate to people at family level, how I relate to people at work. You have bosses, CEOs at work who are well-trained, very good people who do good work, but then they have anger outbursts and they're displacing the anger from home onto their subordinates who have completely no idea what's going on in the boss's life. Maybe they had a conflict with the wife, and because they couldn't rise up to the challenge of taking the responsibility and ironing this out and discussing it, they come with their anger, they're irritable, anything small is a trigger at work, and a small paper or file falling down, the boss is shouting at this cleaner, which is so unusual and so awful. Actually, they just realize later that, oh, I was not supposed to do this. So we're talking about men and mental health. And you mentioned it, that men, in many cases...
Yes, Martin, before you go to, you bring in the men, I just wanted us to understand more about mental health.
Okay.
You mentioned some pillars or some components.
Yes, yes.
If you don't mind, you can repeat them.
Yes, we mentioned about talking about someone's psychological well-being,
the psychological
emotional well-being,
yes,
and social well-being. Our thoughts influence the way we behave, or rather how we feel, and that influences how we behave. Sure. And this affects our self-management, affects our self-awareness, affects our social awareness, affects our decisions that we make, affects our relationship skills, like affects quite a lot.
Okay.
So we can't not talk about it. So the things that, basics to about keeping good mental health, for really basics, like we are on back for basics,
yes,
is some things you may need to consider is, you know, being able to eat well, you see, being able to sleep well. You know, some people don't get to sleep enough time. Some people don't get, we're living in a very crazy world where we are running hustles from 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. the next day. People actually are enjoying working non-stop, but actually, the body is like a machine. If machines break down, what about us? If a car can break down, what about us? So eating well, sleeping well, keeping friends and good relations with family and friends and,
yes,
and people at work. Things like exercising, you know, which keeps you at the best play of your health and you know, body. Quite a number of things that are helpful for you to stay well, to stay alert, to stay at the head or at the helm of your mental health. So those are some of the things. You know.
So Martin, today we are focusing on men and mental health. What is the justification? Why are we focusing on men? Definitely we have men and women, but we are focusing on men. I just want we kind of try to
Zero in.
justify why we are focusing on men, looking at what are their responsibilities currently in the society. Maybe it will give us an understanding of why we have mental health issues with men.
So build it from our culture, our tradition,
Yes.
the African tradition. Men are trained, are thought about. The expectation of the community or society about men, brothers, fathers, husbands, or men of all stature. Boys growing up, you hear cliche statements like "boys be boys," men don't cry.
Yep, actually,
So
even to the young boys, people say,
so
boys don't cry.
we are told that, and then we grow up bottling up emotions. We grow up not exposing ourselves to find the healing that we need when we are going through difficult issues, because we have the stereotypes riding, and even our parents tell us this because they were told, and the narrative continues, and if nobody comes in to change it, we continue to have such people who think actually boys be boys, men don't cry, men are strong. Men are strong, but men break down. You'll be amazed, and we'll be discussing the causes of men's mental health. That a man who has lost his job today and came back home, the wife looked at him and he was a different man. A man who is struggling financially, who was running a business and the business crumbles because of a mistake or something happened, or he had planted a garden and the season didn't turn out well, or a pest devoured the garden or something, where he was. When he comes home, he's different.
And this was loan money.
Exactly. This was loan money or something. So nobody thinks about men that way. Now, the challenge with us men don't talk.
Yep.
The way to go about these things would be to speak to someone, but men don't talk their problems out.
Because they are men, like you clearly.
Exactly. That thing of men be men.
They handle things manly.
Exactly. We've grown up in a state of saying when you expose your weakness, you are weak. But actually you're not weak. It means that you're strong enough to know where you're weak, acknowledge the weakness, face your fears and weaknesses, talk about them, and find the kind of help that you need. That's what I call a man. That lions get wounded. That's what people forget. That men, it's a gift to be a man, like someone has said. But then it comes with a lot of difficulty also. That there are some responsibilities that come with challenges. And in the moment of those challenges, rarely do men get other men coming to join them, to join hands and strengthen them and support them. Many men actually are struggling alone, are boxed in a corner, but they can't even cry. They can't even. The CEOs, the fathers, the brothers, the husbands out there, the people in organizations, the people in faith spaces, and where actually people are struggling with these things. But because they are told that men be men. But Moses, I want to let you know that until we appreciate that vulnerability is a core of emotional strength into the framework of masculinity, we will keep struggling as men.
Right. How do we achieve that? To make sure that men realize that, okay, this is it. Is it from men alone, or we need other players in the society, including the female gender?
We need many players. When you talk about mental health, even for men, we're talking about, low-key, we're talking about mental health out there.
Yes.
Awareness we're creating here is not only men watching.
Yep.
The women, these men, these brothers, these fathers, these husbands stay in the space of women all the time. There's a woman, even we've been here, people prepared, the producers and part of the tech team that puts together this. Wherever there's a man, most times there is a woman. Wherever there's a gentleman, most times there's a lady somewhere.
Yep.
In organization. So brothers have sisters, you know. So we need to work together as a team. And each one of us does their part and does it well, and know that we can support one another. Because once you realize, we will talk about some of the things that can be like symptoms or signs that show that a man is getting mental health problems, probably when you that people can get to know and observe that, and maybe encourage them to find support. In the first place, what you need to do when you observe a man struggling with that is to make sure you present yourself as available. You say, I'm available to support you. Men don't hear those things. Probably they don't hear that, because actually everybody expects them to be the ones giving them a shoulder to lean on. But men also need a shoulder to lean on. Men also need someone to speak to.
Yep.
We can't speak to the bottle. The bottle doesn't speak. It's a painkiller. We can't go puff, take a smoke and think. It's just like numbing the problem. Is it called, it's like anesthetizing it. You just put it to rest, but actually when the drink gets off your brain,
The problem comes back.
fresh and as you go on wallowing in these other wrong coping mechanisms, the problem keeps on zeroing down on you, and if you don't get someone to help you, these are people we find actually responsible people that are struggling with addictions, of masturbation,
and other effects. We'll briefly look at the impact.
Of alcohol,
briefly look at the impact.
Drugs,
But I just want to remind the viewers, we are discussing men and mental health. And we find from what you've stated, there is a problem, that there is mental health, that's a fact, and the men are actually having mental health issues, but then they don't speak out.
They don't speak out.
Why?
The reason men don't speak out, because culturally we are trained to be bulls, to devour, to set trend, to give and give and give. Even at the moment when we are breaking down, you still want to give. But you can't give what you don't have. So men out there, I would love you to appreciate that as a fellow man, working with other fellow men out there. By the way, we'll talk about it. We are working to develop a support group for men. And many will come up in different areas of Kampala, but also regionally. But as we get there, that the men need to acknowledge that actually they're human. Because to not think you get a time of breakdown, or because stress is simply defined as when actually the demands on us, outweigh our ability to cope. And there we are. Now, that could be normal when you have a business proposal you're preparing to pitch. That happens normally. There's pressure of how to get everything ready, of dotting your I's and crossing your T's and making sure everything. That is normal stress, muscle contraction and whatever. But then after that period, it relaxes. Now you go back to a normal mode of working. But now the problem comes when that stress becomes chronic. The problem comes when that stress being chronic turns out into anxiety, turns into depression. And there's some people out there actually listening to this and seeing a trajectory of how this started and how actually now they are where they are because they didn't check this. So men, the things actually that cause them not to seek for the help, they think they'll be embarrassed.
Fear of embarrassment.
They're fearing embarrassment.
Because how could the lion in the pride?
Exactly. You are the jungle head.
You're the head.
How again do we hear that the jungle head has? But actually, it happens. So
culture, embarrassment.
Yes. Fear of shame.
Fear of
shame. Also they feel that is a sign of weakness.
Okay.
They feel probably they won't be as respected, or people won't treat them the same way in the regard they used to see them when they had not exposed these weaknesses.
Yeah, sure. We are still looking at why are men silent? Why don't they speak out
About
despite
it.
having mental issues? And when we come back from we shall break off shortly. When we come back, we'll continue. And Martin, I want you to be thinking about the role of family members, especially the spouse, towards men's
mental health.
Yes,
How they can observe,
and also support and bring and cause men to keep quiet. We shall discuss that after the break.
Bethany TV for health. Road traffic crashes is one of the leading causes of death among young people aged 5 and 29 years. In 2022, Uganda registered 21,473 crashes, out of which 4,534 people died and 15,227 seriously injured. And on average, we lose 12 people daily. Legacy Road Safety Initiative, in partnership with KCCA, Ministry of Works and Transport, Ministry of Health, and Bethany TV, have organized the second Road Safety Marathon for the crash victims to help create awareness. The marathon will take place on the 23rd of July 2023, starting at 7 a.m. from Nakasero Primary School grounds. Book your kits at 25,000 from Legacy Road Safety Initiative offices or visit www.lrs-initiative.org to register. Call 0752 605 479. The Higher Life, the era of the world revolution, with Apostle Dr. David Kunowa and Pastor Rita Bella Kunowa of Rivers of Life Assembly International, Boston, Massachusetts, USA. Streaming every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. East African Standard Time, with the incorruptible, incomparable, and revolutionizing, life-transforming Word of God. Only on Bethany TV for health. Your perfect ignition for the day's inspiration prescription is on the Healthy Morning. Start your day informed about top stories, health, tech, and travel news as we give you the day's weather and traffic, business analysis, and sports updates. Healthy Morning, every weekday at 6:30 a.m. on Bethany TV. Bethany TV for health. Are you ready for this good news? You can now watch Bethany TV on Yo TV, AfroMobile, and Airtel TV apps. Yes! Catch the finest programming prescription for everybody, wherever you are, whenever you are. Bethany TV for health.
Child health and well-being, the foundation for a bright and promising future. Join us for exciting episodes aimed at optimizing our children's physical, mental, and emotional health with our team of experts, including pediatricians, nutritionists, and child psychologists, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Bethany TV.
Bethany TV for health. Win, win, win! Win a Bethany t-shirt and cap, cash, and other prizes. Just answer our question of the day every time the presenter asks the question of the day, or when you see it, be among the first 20 people to respond on our social media platforms. Make sure you like and follow our Facebook and Twitter pages at Bethany TV Uganda. Then post the right answer in the comment section, providing the time the question was asked on Bethany TV, the program, and the show presenter that asked the question. Was it on the Healthy Morning, on Be Hopeful, or the playlist? The winner of the day will be announced on the Sunset Lounge at 5 p.m. every weekday. Watch Bethany TV and win big. Coming this July on Bethany TV, more goodies to look out for. Nourishing the Temple, Monday to Saturday at 6 a.m. for your spiritual inspiration. The Sunset Lounge, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. A fun and edu infotainment show after a busy day with lots of cash and prizes to be won. Health and lifestyle magazines at 8 p.m. Like a Rise Woman, all about women, and your exciting daily menu still continues at 6:30 a.m. Healthy Morning at 9 a.m., Be Hopeful. At midday, Bethany Sports. At 1 p.m., The Playlist. 3:30 p.m., Movie. At 9 p.m., Chicago Med. Here's the deal. Start your day with us and end it with us. Bethany TV for health. Chicago Med Season 2. The emotional thrill ride through the day-to-day chaos of the city's most explosive hospital continues. Going face to face with unique new cases inspired by topical events. Chicago Med Season 2, showing Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. Repeats Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. here on Bethany TV. For health. Bethany TV for health.
Welcome back wherever you're joining us from, all our mobile platforms, GoTV, Free to Air, and also following us on different social media platforms. You're very much welcome. And tonight we are discussing men and mental health. In the studio I have Martin Amanya, who is a counselor and an advocate for men, something that I've loved because I just want to relate this with the structures that we have right from growing up. Affirmative actions, you would see all those, they kind of support the girl child. And actually a boy grows in a family, and even by the time even he starts working and earning something, you find there are other responsibilities. You get other responsibilities, school fees, supporting other relatives. Is this a situation that puts a man in a certain kind of situation that he grows knowing that I'm supposed to provide, and therefore I'm not supposed to face any challenge, and therefore decide to keep quiet in case of mental health?
So from where we left off, the things that make men not ask for support, I want to putting an icing on that to say that men, talking about your weaknesses and going out to seek help, when we talk about our weaknesses, our internal and external struggles, they're not any strange. They're as valid as any other person out there. So we should feel comfortable, we should feel okay to go out there and seek the help that we need. Talking about those struggles, it's a valid thing. It doesn't make us less of men. It actually makes us stronger because then we find the help that we need and we get better. Tying it into the thing of the structure, I think there's a gap that men, boys, and we're not prepared. There's a bit of some structures in some cultures nationally and different regions that puts in a bit of an effort, but some other, by and large, I think many of the cultures around nation, we are on our own.
We are on our own.
We are on our own. Our fathers are busy providing for the family, so they don't have the time to tell us what boys are meant to be or do, or how they're meant to handle challenges. The beautiful chances we get is when we err and we come to caning, and that caning has really not much more counsel next to it. Sometimes you're given what you are given and you're told to go back, and you are told actually that it will sort you. But the canes will not sort me. You actually talk to me. I want to encourage, actually, one of the other things I'm passionate about is parenting. One will be, it will be
Parenting.
Yeah. Parents, we do a lot of work, really working so hard, investing for our children. But actually, let's invest in the children. Investing in the children means creating time. I've worked with men who are working together to create mental health spaces for men who say, I don't work on Sunday. After church, I go to be with my children, with my family. They struggle if there's something so important they need to do on Sunday. They struggle to create time for that because they have made that. Others tell me, or those who do together work, they say at 4 or at 5, I go to school, pick my children, connect with them through as we're going back home, have conversations. Talk to these children. Create those adult-child friendships. They mean a lot. I've been part of conversations where men and parents even, because it's a support of the two, where they have acknowledged that actually children can be parented on presence. They are parented on presence. There's that emotional connection. There are children who have grown up in the place of abundance. They have all that they need to have, but they have not been loved. Their parents have not been in their lives emotionally. There's no that connection. So actually, there's all that gap. Now, on the side of boys, there are not clear conversations of what is expected of a boy, or a place of where actually when the boy is going through something, he can come back home and say, Daddy, but actually this was happening to me. This is what happened at school. Fellow boys were telling me this. Or even as we grow to maturity, to want to look out someone, when you identify a girl or a lady of honor that you're interested to start a relationship with, going and talking to your dad and say, hey Moses, you're my dad, and I've seen you, how you've treated my mother, and I've seen you, and I would love to let you know that I've seen someone and this is what's happening. Can you guide? Can you help? Can you... So that we don't... Because we know that our parents also are not perfect. Yeah. But they have seen what we've not seen. You know, is that a Nigerian saying that what a young man can't see standing, an old man can see it
when seated.
You see. So they have experience that comes with what they've gone through, that is good and that is not good. They have things to offer us. Yeah. But you see that where it's going, there's a lot of detachment. It is much of provision. You know, it is
provision, drive to
exactly
to work harder.
Exactly,
the
hard work. But actually, you know, it profits to make this bread, working hard, earning it, but be there when it's being consumed.
But you see, it's a dilemma. It's actually a paradox, because like you had put it from the start, according to culture, this man is supposed to provide. And in Uganda, in our societies, you really can't provide and satisfy the needs of your family when you're not working hard. So I think that drive to work hard and the unselfish nature of a man to work hard and make money and provide for the needs of the family and security for the family, setting up a home or something, I think that is one thing that makes them silent, especially when they kind of meet some challenges. But then I brought that to introduce something we touched briefly. What is the role, especially for the married, what is the role of the wife in this whole thing of mental issue for men?
Great. A little bit about what you mentioned about the being carried away into work. Yes. And I have friends of mine, some who have confidently and comfortably talked about their parenting and what the goal of their parenting goals and what they want to see in their children in future, and have agreed maybe to live on a particular income that can sustain them, and either one of them has stayed working, another one has chosen to be a stay-home mom. Now, I'm not advising that for anyone, but there are some people who actually this can work for. Actually, there are people out there who have done it. I worked at a school where one of the parents did that. At first, every fellow women who are doing big. She was also doing a big job, frowned at her, but after actually she was the one who was almost picking everybody's children who was not being able to make it. I say, oh, mommy, please can you help me with my child? Some of them would spend the night at her place because the parents are busy. But look, you need that because there are things that you cannot substitute. You cannot substitute your fatherhood.
Yep. You
can lose that job that you are doing, but nobody actually can be. They can substitute you at your work as a CEO, as whatever position you're having.
Yep.
But nobody can substitute you as a father.
Sure.
When you're not there and you've not done what you're supposed to be doing, you've lost it. And there's nobody else who can. You can never delegate that. If you're a mother and you're supposed to mother your children and you don't do it and you're carried away, signing all the nice projects and whatever.
You made a father, but who is not giving support. Exactly. But still you made a father.
Exactly. you are a producer only, a provider only, yes. But you don't have this thing here. So I wanted to say that, like what I read from the purpose-driven book, Ricky Warren Coates says, let the things that are important not be replaced by what seems urgent. Mm-hmm. There is something that is urgent, but also there's something that is important. You need to know that not all things that seem urgent are important, and not all important things are urgent. So you need to prioritize your things very well. The work may look so urgent, but then is it more important for you than your family?
To an extent that you carry the work into your bedroom.
And the children are coming to play with you, daddy, because you have this report, you slap them. Now, you will wake up when they're in senior 1, you wake up when they're in form 4, and you try to initiate a relationship, daddy-son relationship. It will be hard for you. Let me tell you, lasting connections with children build actually at the earliest of ages. Those 6, actually at 6 months, children are able to tell differentiate the voice of the father and the voice of the mother. And of course, most time it is the mother who is present.
Yes.
In many circumstances. So you realize that actually even when they're growing up, whenever there's anything they would love to share that they're struggling with, they want to go to their mother. But we are talking now, we want to change the narrative.
Yes.
We want to raise a generation of where men are going to be involved in the lives of their children, and where they're going to be vulnerable, and know that vulnerability is a core of emotional strength that must be woven into a framework of masculinity, and that will help men to support other men. And these men who are older or middle-aged will help the young boys that will produce other great men in the future. So things that people in family can do, a wife, but also maybe siblings doing to fellow siblings, especially maybe sisters helping brothers. There's some things you can observe. If, let's say in a family setting, a couple.
Just before you go to the things we can observe, you mentioned that men should be vulnerable. What do you mean by that?
When I say men should be vulnerable, I mean this is how we are created. We use in the AA program that we use in addiction counseling, but also these are like basic principles of counseling. Rigorous authenticity. I love to tell those to my clients. Surrendering the outcome and being willing to do the uncomfortable work. Now that's a place we never want to get into.
Especially men.
Especially men. We confuse privacy with secrecy. We talked about that sometime.
Yeah, sometime back. Yes.
We walk on eggshells. But actually, you serve yourself by not doing that. Actually, and by the way, if you don't confess your sins, one day they will confess you. You don't respond to a conflict at home by going to find another woman. No.
Or by going to the bar.
By going to the bar, no. Or by going to smoke, actually trying things you have never tried that are even harder to do than actually fixing your marriage, than actually fixing this relationship, than actually talking to the right men out there who are willing to support you. And let me tell you, like some other men say, I frown at men who gossip about men who are struggling. If you're a man and you gossip about a man who's struggling, either at work or in a relationship, or they are struggling with drugs, or their relationship is at the verge of breaking, or that they're going through a tough time, and you're gossiping about what they're going through, or if a man ever asks you, a man who is gentle, is a sound man, ever asks you for some money at a moment in time and calls and says, Moses, I'm in a fix, and you've worked with this man, and please never decline to give them support. At least you may not be able to help everybody, but like Denzel said, Each one teach one. Each one can help someone.
Okay, Martin, as we conclude why are men silent, I just wanted us to bring out the woman. And just a little bit of background to help me bring this question out clearly. You've had and the expectations of a woman is, for me, I'm there and a man must provide each and everything. To an extent that sometimes when there are woes and issues that the man faces,
they don't seem to pay attention.
they don't.
If they do, they just ignore and say, man, you'll find a way.
Yeah, like
men are men. They'll find a way.
You're like, you're a man.
A man is not just about beard. I hear a man, you're beard.
So do you think women, especially wives, have a role to play? Because if I believe if
they do,
you know, as men, if you speak once,
exactly,
and you're judged, for example, men always have ways of now handling their issues. Do you think a wife has a role to play in supporting?
Definitely.
In supporting a man speak out, or in bringing the man to remain silent? Either way.
It is like this. They have a role to play, and I broaden that into a support system.
Yes.
Wives, sisters, colleagues of who are females at work, at other locations. You know, we can support these men. There are signs you can see, and fellow men, we can also see this. The signs you can see in a man. You can see your husband, who's been a jolly man, who's been a smiley man, who's been with everywhere, back and forth with the children playing, who normally comes with the kavera and the kavera thing, who normally comes and says, quickly takes a shower and maybe joins with the family. They want to watch a movie or at the dinner table. But over time, you realize changes. He comes, he complains, he's so tired. Fatigue. He comes, and nowadays he's quiet. All he wants to do is actually go and sleep. Probably not even first going for a shower. Probably now he doesn't even greet you, because those days maybe he used to greet. Maybe he used to have a family altar. You would pray together after dinner before. But now he's even not interested, or when he's there, or he's and he's the one probably who's been coordinating it as a priest of the home. Or other things you can observe. He's easily irritable, very angry. He's not been like that. Other things you observe is like probably he's no longer taking care of himself. He's a man who loves to take care of him. Of course, it's a two-way, you support. But then you see that he's no longer actually paying attention to. I think those are things you need to start paying attention to. You need to talk to some other man who you know is a friend. Or else you need to talk to him in the most romantic way. In the most appropriate of environments, and say, maybe Moses, there's something you would love us to talk about. Maybe because I've observed these changes and I'm here to support you. Because men don't talk. Actually, the problem also is how we talk. Maybe our communication also is something we need to revise. Okay. They don't talk. If they do, they talk in parables. And it is worse in the place of where they need to be vulnerable, because they struggle to get there.
So Martin, out of this silence, what happens? What is the impact? A man has mental issues, but then he's not speaking out. What comes out of this silence?
There are a lot of things that happen. Let me tell you that there are a lot of marriages out there which actually, that are professional now. People are living professionally. They drive together, sitting side by side. Those who can afford drive different cars. Those who use other means of transport, get to work.
Or those who are going in the same place but are using taxis, get different taxis.
Exactly. Those who work at the same workplace, I don't know even how that is. But they come back to the same home, but they're like now business partners. They've agreed about some basics, but probably they no longer sleep in the same room. One uses the living room, another one stays in the bedroom. Like the marriage literally is professional now.
It's professional.
They even probably gather at church, and when people see them, they see them as a couple, but the fire they are holding under there's
trouble.
And some marriages actually, there's a trend of actually, someone mentioned that actually long ago, it was easier to get married or get into a marriage than it is to divorce or actually come out of it. But now actually it's becoming easier over time to get out of it than it is to get into it. You see the trouble we're dealing with?
Yes.
Some marriages are accidental, some, you know, all of a sudden they got pregnant and they were like, okay, actually maybe met on a trip or liked each other by, you know, that first sight thing.
Yes.
And I'm not saying there's a problem with it, but some of these, and these are happening. And you know, these people are bundled together. We've talked to people who got into this when they were not ready, but they find themselves, they have babies, they probably have twins,
Yep.
and their culture all over, and the family from the other side, family from it. But the heat the man is living in, the pressure the man is living in, the pressure the woman is living in, so they have to do it professionally. So actually some people have gathered the courage to walk away. Actually some people, they end professionally also. He picks a bag of a few belongings here and there, clothes, low key, as though they've gone for a trip and they never come back.
They never come back.
And we don't want to see that. And maybe some men have these mental health issues, and because the women make it even so harder for them, they get out of the homes instead of actually presenting a platform or a shoulder to lean on. Or also, you should get involved in the life of your husband. Get to find out who his friends are. Be the one, like I mentioned, about the things you can do to support them. Be the one who actually presents to them an opportunity of seeing a therapist, the professional people who can help. Be the one who looks out for men support groups, you know. Be the one who links them to a conversation where they're talking about some things that you think actually they could be going through.
So you're saying out of this silence we see divorce, we see separation.
Yes.
How about
domestic violence?
Domestic
And
violence.
the children are watching and they're traumatized. And tomorrow they have to drive with you in the car to their school. Daddy and mommy, they're not talking. Who is supposed to help with homework? It's left to the maids now. They don't know a lot of English. The driver. Because now when the two bulls fight, when the big
grass.
it's the grass that suffers.
Surely.
And of course there are some that are working dynamics of co-parenting even when they're not together. But it's hot in there. It's hot in there. And many of these are associated with men and mental health. And this mental health we're talking about as basic as health-seeking habits, as basic as having conversations when you've seen someone and you're trying to get to them. But ask, talk to men, you know.
I'll ask you to kind of have, we do a summary of some of the interventions and how we can support men to jump out of this.
Great.
But before leaving the impact, are there diseases just briefly associated to out of this silence?
Yes. You realize that actually men, by and large, continue to commit suicide. There's an increase of suicide cases of young boys, of middle-aged men, of old men, because they are threatened when they lose work. They are threatened when they are struggling financially. They are threatened when they get some illnesses. They are threatened when the relationships are going down the drain and they don't know where to seek the help they need. So all these are, and these are the very people actually, they hate themselves, they feel rejected, and actually this mental health causes them actually to start committing crime.
Wow. Yeah.
So you find prisons filled with men. You find, and such men become a liability to the nation because they can't be able to do work.
Sure.
When they're struggling with these things, depressions, they don't want to work, and then we will be challenged economically because if we can't put our skills and abilities to work and gain, gainful employment, then we're challenged. Like it's bigger than meets the eye. So there are challenges, there are diseases, there are other challenges at family level. These men are heads of these families, but when this happens, what is going to happen to this family? It's wrecked. It has no headship. It has no provider. Children become street kids.
So in that circumstance, for a man who is already in that situation, what can we do? What should be done to help and support such a man who is already not preventing, but already
in the mix?
Yes, already in the mix.
So men out there is hope. The reason we're having this conversation is that baby step. And the reason you're watching it from wherever you're watching it from, or when you get to the social media platforms and get to find it, and you are, actually you are the person we're talking about. And probably for long you've looked for where you can find support and you can't get. We are here to support with individual counseling sessions. We are working together with the TAC team to come up with men support groups where we can gather men and they can talk about their issues without being judged. It will be a safe space where they can come to and talk. And let me tell you, you find CEOs in bathrooms reading AA books. Why would someone be reading an Alcoholics Anonymous book? Because they have a problem. Or taking pills, or actually people are abusing drugs low key, even in high ranking, places and organized. But because they can't find a place to talk about their challenges and actually find support. But we're here to support, and we're changing the narrative. Men talking about our weaknesses, it is our internal and external struggles. It is as valid as any other challenge that people face on a daily. It doesn't make us less of men. Instead, it makes us stronger men who know what we go through, who accept our weaknesses and confront them, who know our fears, and we're not shying away from them. We are not ashamed or embarrassed to talk about our fears and find the help that we need. Those are the men we want to build. Those are the men who are resilient with their mental health. Those are men who are going to change communities. Those are men who are going to change organizations. Those are men who are going to change, society in the future.
Wow, well said, Martin. Thank you very much for that advice. Very strongly and passionate about men realizing their mistakes and speaking out and finding solution. And I've liked that. That's when you're defined as a real man. So a real man, you identify your weaknesses, speak out, and find solutions, and remain a man for your family and for the society and for the nation. Thank you very much, Martin.
Thank you.
You've been watching Back to Basics. I'm your host, Moses, and this is Bethan TV. If you missed the show, please catch it on social media platforms, YouTube, Bethan Television UG. Thank you very much for watching. Have a blessed night.
Bethany TV for health. Road traffic crashes is one of the leading causes